A $2,000 fourth stimulus check in December? Well, let's look at all the numbers to see where we're actually sitting. Let's get right into it. But if you haven't done so yet, or if you happen to be new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video so I can keep you updated each and every day with all of this information that is changing very rapidly. I do all the research on your behalf and I boil it all down into these short videos, which I deliver a few times each and every day right here on YouTube so that you can stay tuned with everything going on. So again, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below and let's get into this right away. And thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. All right, so I think a lot of us are probably sitting in the same position right here, right now, wondering if and when Congress will approve a $2,000 stimulus check to help out millions and millions of struggling Americans right now. Now, here's the thing. Every day that Congress sits around and drags their feet on this thing just means that is one more day that the timeline is going to be delayed as far as the delivery of these very, very important payments that so many people need like 6 months ago, right? So this is something that we need to continue to keep a pulse on and watch very, very closely. So let's better understand where we're actually sitting right now with going through some numbers to get an idea of where Americans are sitting as a whole. Now, this is going to encompass millions upon millions of people, a lot of people right here in the United States. So with this being said, we can look at a large sample size of Americans to see what is going on with the average American right now. Well, obviously, I don't think I need to tell everybody what everybody is actually doing right now and where Americans are actually sitting. I think a lot of us probably understand it's not looking good out there, right? But let's look at some of these numbers and see what is actually going on. All right. So first things, way back in March, so I know that was a long time ago, but we still need to get a better pulse of where we were and where we are currently to better understand the actual environment that we're in right now. So back in March of this year, for that entire month, personal income was $24.1 billion. Sounds like a lot of money, right? So just in the month of March, personal income was $24.1 billion. Well, over the next 6 months, personal income declined from $24.1 billion down to $20.4 billion. So a reduction of almost $4 billion in an entire month. That's a lot of money in one entire month, right? So over the course of those about 6 months, it declined by $4 billion of personal income in a single month. So as you can see right there, Americans are bringing in less money. During that same period of time, inflation went up by multiple percentage, almost 5% in that same period of time. Inflation went up. Meanwhile, we saw products like certain products, meat products, meats like ground beef, chicken, pork, things like this have gone up anywhere between about 10, 13, 15, and even 19% in that short period of time. So we're seeing massive increases in inflation. At the same time, we're seeing reductions in personal income. That is not a recipe for a successful environment, right? No, not at all. Or during that same period, we saw during around the September and August time, we saw 8 million people quitting their jobs or being laid off of their jobs. So that, again, a lot of people losing their losing their money, right? Losing their income at the same time that inflation is going up and personal income is going down. Again, do you kind of see the trend here? Here's what else is interesting. Prior to 2020, the average person saved about 6 to 7% of their income. However, during 2020 and the first half or so of 2021, the savings rate went up to 15.3%. Sounds like a lot, right? Like it doubled. It more than doubled the savings rate because of what they were citing, according to these reports, is that because of all the unemployment and the extra boosts and things like that, a lot of people were taking that extra boost from the unemployment and shuffling it into savings, along with some people who may not have needed stimulus checks, taking that money and putting into savings. However, what we're seeing now is the depletion of those savings and the savings rate once again declining as we approach the end of the year once again. So, as you can see, all of this is setting up for a situation that is not conducive to a successful environment, right? However, let's keep rolling here. So with all of this being said, as we continue to move forward, we do know that the stimulus package is in the Senate right here, right now, right? So we've talked about this many, many times in previous videos. However, a lot of Americans are sitting here wondering, will there be another relief check of what is it going to be? $2,000, $1,400? There's a lot of numbers that have been floated out there and wondering, is Congress going to approve this in the stimulus package? And now we need an answer somewhat quickly because in order to get a stimulus check out the door in the month of December, it would need to be passed relatively quickly because we do know that it takes anywhere between about 48 hours and anywhere between about 7 days to up to maybe even 10 days to get checks out the door for Americans once the bill is signed into law. Now, here's one thing that we already do know. This package, the reconciliation bill, has already been passed through the House a little over 2 weeks ago. Well, it's sitting in the Senate now, and it could be passed any one of these days now, especially now that we're in this week where Congress is going to be picking up this package, as in the Senate. They're going to be picking up this package and actively working on it as this is now their top priority, in addition to the raising of the debt limit here over the next couple days. So this is all on deck for Congress coming up this week and pretty much next week as well. So they've got a couple weeks here allocated for this to be laid out and for all of this to be figured out. So with that being said, it still makes us better understand and makes us wonder, okay, that's great, but what does this all lead to as far as a fourth stimulus check in the amount of $2,000, $1,400, or whatever it happens to be? Well, that's a really good question. And what I have to say about that is it all comes down to Congress, as in the Senate mostly, to see what are they going to do with this stimulus package. Are they actually going to add a fourth stimulus check into the package as we continue to see millions of Americans struggling, which, quick side note, I had no plans on talking about this, but I'll throw it out there anyway, just to give a little bit more evidence, and I actually talked about this the other day, but in case you didn't see the video, I'll quickly run through some numbers. According to a recent poll, 45% of Americans, so nearly half of Americans right now, are experiencing financial hardship. Okay, so we're supposed to be in this time right now where Americans are supposed to be doing really well and nearly half of Americans are experiencing financial hardship. Again, this kind of lends to the point of what I've been making throughout this entire video. Well, we also know that according to the same report, that 7 out of 10 low-income Americans are struggling financially, experiencing financial hardship. 7 out of 10. So we have anywhere between 45% and 70% of Americans, depending on which sectors you're looking at, are experiencing financial hardship right now. So again, just want to throw that out there just in case you didn't see that information in the video just the other day. So now it all comes back to where are we sitting with Congress and where does this all lead in regards to an additional stimulus checks in the month of December, or what could happen here? All right, so here's kind of the timeline, and I want to lay this out a little bit more because, like I said earlier, every day that Congress drags their feet and actually doesn't get something done, it continues to kick out the timeline on when the delivery of those checks could actually be happening. So this is something that's very important that we want to watch very closely because it all comes down to Congress and what they actually do. Now here's the thing, if we want checks to be delivered in the month of December, Congress needs to act very, very quickly because we do know that we have anywhere between about 7 and 10 days for the delivery of those payments. So that means if we wanted checks sometime probably after Christmas and between Christmas and New Year's, in the month of December, that means that they need to act here within the next 2 weeks in order to get this actually completely done. However, with that timeline that I'm saying right here within the next 2 weeks, that's actually falling perfectly in line with what Chuck Schumer has said as far as what he wants to have done with this package. He wants it done before Christmas. So you kind of see what I'm saying here is if they actually get this done within the next 2 weeks, as in wrapped up in the Senate, sent back over to the House, provided it picks up some amendments and that the checks are actually added into the package, and then it goes back to the House and is passed through once again and ends up on the president's desk, it could still be a thing. However, in the event that Congress kind of drags their feet on this and they drag it out and they extend and they don't really work on this thing and it takes them much longer than anticipated and they take the next 2 weeks and they don't have it passed by then, well then we could continue to be extended out even further than that. So that's why I've got to continue watching this. Because number one, even though we have all of these pushes, in fact, I was just out a few days ago with a couple of videos saying, hey, over the last few weeks here, I've seen some massive pushes for stimulus checks, as we've seen a lot of people coming out. We've seen a lot of groups coming out. We've seen a ton of stuff talking about this as far as articles and reports and on social media. It's all over the place for additional stimulus checks right now, especially during this time of year where the colder months are setting in and the holidays. So a lot of people are leaning back on this saying, hey, the holidays, can Congress really deny the people right now of a stimulus check during the holidays, right? I like it. It's a good strategy. Because really, who can deny people who are struggling during the holidays additional relief, right? So it's a good strategy and I like it. But it's all up to Congress at this point, right? And we do know, though, that we've been doing everything we possibly can to get out to Congress, to remind them, and not only remind them, but also urge and encourage them to support the idea of additional stimulus checks. But realistically, it's all up to the Senate now. So that's why I'm saying it's so incredibly important to watch this, because now that this package is in the Senate, it's all up to them, right? They can introduce it, they can add it in. We do know that there's going to be amendments in the package. However, we haven't seen the vast majority of those amendments. We only know about 4 different things that they've proposed so far that'll likely be changed in the Senate. However, we also do know that there will likely be hundreds and hundreds of amendments that'll be filed on this package before it actually goes through the final steps to pass through the Senate. Therefore, any one amendment could actually add in stimulus checks. So, I know that there's a lot of discouragement out there. I see it down in the comment section. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people saying, we need stimulus checks, and I'm so discouraged. We need it right now. Hey, I totally get it. I'm right there with you. That's why we need to stick together through this. This is why we need to continue doing everything we possibly can to encourage Congress to be there, poking at them literally every single day, reminding them that this is so incredibly necessary right now. But if you look at all the numbers, like what I pointed out a little while ago, this isn't even all the numbers. This is just a small handful of the numbers as far as how Americans are currently doing right now, just to give you a better idea of what's actually going on out there. Now, but if we were to look at all the numbers out there, there's a lot of evidence showing that there's a lot of Americans right now who are really struggling with everything going on. Mostly due to a loss of employment, number one, loss of wages, as in reduction of wages, or number two, wages and or income. When I say wages, I just mean income. So like whether it's from a job, whether it's from Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, anything like this. I'm basically just referring to income as a whole. Income staying the same, meanwhile expenses rising across the board on literally everything, right? So that's where all this is coming from. But it's all going to be up to the Senate right here, right now, if stimulus checks can and will still be delivered in the month of December. So I hope that makes it very clear. But again, we have to watch the Senate very closely right here to see if they actually do add stimulus checks into the package. And it's all game on, basically starting now for the next couple weeks here. So it's all hands on deck, right? And don't worry, I will continue doing everything I can to watch this very closely. I'll continue working as much as I can to remind and support and encourage Congress to do this for the American people, especially lower income and fixed income Americans, as well as I'll continue to keep you updated with everything going on. So again, I hope this answers the questions that I've been seeing down below, as well as hopefully this lays it out a little bit more clearly as to what is actually going on right now. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share this video with your friends, family, and social media, and I'll catch you again later in the next video. Thanks so much. I'll see you later.